And joining us right now, Joe diGenova, legal analyst, former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia. Joe, good morning.
Good morning.
So, big night tonight, 9 o'clock. The president is going to announce his pick for the Supreme Court. Are we going to have a surprise?
I don't know. It's tough to tell. You know, the president loves surprises. He loves talking with people that have concealed carry permits, like Raymond Kethledge, who is a judge on the Sixth Circuit, reportedly one of the three finalists, along with Amy Coney Barrett from the Seventh Circuit, and our own Brett Kavanaugh from here in D.C. So it's probably going to be one of those three. If it were somebody else, it would be quite a surprise, which would be just like the president.
That fourth name being floated around there is Thomas Hardiman, that runner-up from the last go-about with Neil Gorsuch, that he might be a part of this conversation as well. But those are, the names that you just mentioned, those are the names that are going around everywhere. Is your expectation that it is somewhere in those four? Oh, yeah. I mean, unless the president is going to really do something really wild and pick somebody that nobody is discussing, which would be, you know, part of his personality to do something like that. But I doubt it. I think those are the ones that are likely to be the picks. Now, Dick Durbin was on the television this weekend. Isn't he always? Yes, and he had things to say, and he was expressing that essentially that one Republican could stop this entire thing, given the fact that John McCain's not really participating much in the Senate these days. By the way, shame on John McCain for not resigning and giving the Republicans a temporary Senate seat by designation of the governor. But, you know, I mean, I know he's been a great guy and he's an honorable American and a great citizen, but shame on him for not resigning and giving. This is his vindictive nature against President Trump, and it's a sad way for him to go out, actually. But, you know, that's McCain. Well, the dynamics there are why Dick Durbin is now saying that it would just take one Republican to flip this thing to stop a nominee, suggesting that he thinks he can get every single Democrat to blockade the nominee before we even have a name here. Yeah, well, you know, Durbin is a wild man. You know, he called Amy Coney Barrett an Orthodox Catholic during the hearings with a sinister tone to his voice when she was up for the Seventh Circuit. Durbin has become a religious nut. You will recall he also called American troops in Afghanistan terrorists. He was rebuked by Richard Daley, who was then the mayor of Chicago, whose son was serving in Afghanistan at the time. And Durbin went on the floor crying to apologize for insulting American troops. Durbin is a left-wing nut. He's almost a religious zealot. You know, he likes to plant seeds, and he's very facile. He's good on television, but he's weird. He's become a bit of a crazy man in the minority. Yeah, and Senator Orrin Hatch wrote an op-ed for the Deseret News in which he may have given away the pick. Yes, exactly. So it may be. And I wonder if this is this is going to be smart on the president's part. I mean, all of these are smart in different ways, all of these choices, because of the fact that so many people did vote for her recent confirmation. You know what? She's the perfect pick. Number one, she's a woman, and she's a brilliant woman. She's written extensively. It's true she has less judicial experience, but her writing and her scholarship and her authorship is fantastic. She's a mother of 7 children. You know, she adopted 2 children, which has not been printed or written about very much. And they're Haitians. She adopted 2 Haitian children. I want to know, that's Amy Coney Barrett we're referring to. Is there anybody on this list of 4 who you think would be worrisome as a potential sort of flip vote, somebody who could go back and forth? I did hear some concern that Raymond Kethledge may be something like a David Souter, that he would not necessarily be a reliable conservative. It's going to be very interesting to see if the president picks him, because the president talked to him twice. And allegedly, they discussed immigration because some of the things that Kethledge has written in some opinions that were exceedingly unnecessary to write, but were extremely sort of sad commentaries on the state of immigration law and the effect that it has on people trying to get into this country. Some people viewed some of that writing about immigration as rather bizarre. That may be something that may have caught the president's attention, given how important immigration is to the president, and legal versus illegal immigration. But Kethledge also is a concealed carry permit guy who carries a gun with him every place he goes. Right. God only knows. I mean, it's going to be fascinating. I mean, the president is nothing if not the master of drama.
Oh, absolutely. I'm expecting fireworks and like hidden doors and see which door opens to see who's behind it to see.
By the way, apropos of our discussion, a listener sent me an email this morning saying that you emailed me on election night. He's a friend of mine. And he said, "We just saved the Supreme Court," is the email I sent him election night. And wasn't I right?
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying, if nothing else, but for the Supreme Court. I just want to very quickly just get your opinion here on some information that came out on Friday from Manafort's lawyers that Andrew Weissman arranged a meeting with the DOJ and the FBI officials and 4 Associated Press reporters on April 11th of 2016, just a little bit more than a month before Mueller was appointed as special counsel. And some information changed hands where actually the AP gave the FBI information about Manafort. Does Manafort's lawyers are now looking for some kind of a hearing into all of this and into Weissman? Does this bolster their case?
It's difficult to say. There ought to be a hearing, though, to find out precisely what happened at that meeting. That meeting occurred before Mueller was appointed and before Weissman was on the Mueller team. Nonetheless, it tracks perfectly the leaking of grand jury and FBI information to reporters that went on regularly during the Obama FBI DOJ administration. There's been some scurrilous conduct by people. Weissman, of course, is known now in America as perhaps the most unethical federal prosecutor who ever served. So ask yourself this question. If he has a reputation for being so unethical, why did Bob Mueller hire him? Bob Mueller had him as his general counsel at the FBI. Why would you want a dirtball as your general counsel? Mueller has gotten away with some of the most unbelievable good press because he's a Republican and he's square-jawed and he's an ex-Marine and, God love him for his service to the country in the Marines. But, that was then and this is now. What is it with his judgment about hiring all these Democrats and then getting a sleazeball like Andrew Weissman to be his pitbull lead prosecutor? This is a very sick decision-making process by him, and I think it says something about Mueller's character. It's very strange. I don't know what it means, but he's either deaf, dumb, and blind, or he's lost it. I mean, it's just bizarre. And this evidence about Weissman meeting with the AP and perhaps leaking information to them, by the way, that story is written from the perspective of the reporters in an ethical violation. We do not know what the FBI told those reporters. That's also a very important part of this. Actually, it's much more important than what the reporters told them. But for example, did the Bureau lie to the court about where it got information about the code for Manafort's locker? I recall them saying they got it from the guy who manages the locker company.
But there's also 2 different versions of what happened in that meeting based on whoever's memo you read. Joe, we got to run. Thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate it.
Don't trip while you're running.